Hi everybody, it's Christina. Welcome back to Adventures in Polish Land and happy Friday. Today I have another Friday Reads, and my apologies if you can hear noise in the background. As I mentioned last week, we had a dishwasher leak, so my kitchen is currently dismantled and we have drying equipment in it, but that's okay. I am still reading a little bit slower than usual, but I have finished my reread of All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. This is a book I read in 2016, shortly after it came out, and I really loved it, but I had always delayed rereading it because it is a very emotionally heavy book, and it certainly was this time again. I cried a lot while rereading it, especially knowing what was going to happen at the end, but I'm so glad I reread it for the American Lit Reading Challenge because it's set in Indiana, and Indiana plays a huge role in this book. This is one of those books where I would love to go and visit many of the places that they mention in the novel because it is a novel about wandering, and it definitely also inspires me to think about wandering in my own neck of the woods and seeing what's out there to explore. So definitely loved this reread. I gave it a 4.5-star rating on reread, which is slightly lower than before where I gave it a 5-star, but there were a few things this time around that I could see need improvement. That being said, I have decided to pick up The Dud Avocado by Elaine Dundy. I had purchased this, let's see, there's a receipt in it. I got this at Book Off in New York in September when I was there, and I am currently exploring the publisher NYRB, the New York Review of Books, so I happened to see this on the shelf and purchased it. And I didn't know anything about this book, but it's about a young woman. I think she's 21 and she's an American, but she is traveling to Paris, France to live life there on her uncle's dime for 2 years, so that's really interesting. I am only 48 pages in. It's a shorter book, but I often find with these NYRB books that they're pretty dense. So this will probably take me to the end of January, hopefully not, but I was inspired to read this because I was watching Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading, and she had mentioned this in one of her recent videos. I will link that video below. And I thought, you know what? I have finished my January TBR. This is on my regular TBR shelf, so I went and I picked this one up. I am enjoying it so far. I'm just not that far into the book. That being said, I wanted to give a few shout outs here. So definitely recommend Kelly's channel. She made that excellent video that I will link for you that's about book journaling, and she talks about how she has had a book journal for 30 years. When I was a kid, I read a ton, and my mother had a red spiral bound notebook where she wrote down every single book that I read, and I think it got thrown away. I had asked her about it a few years ago, and she said, "Oh, I asked you if you wanted that and you said no, so I threw it away." And I can't believe I would have said no to that. I wish I still had that because I would love to know the hundreds of books that I read as a kid. All through elementary school, I was a very big reader. My friend Brittany and I read so many books. We were the top readers in our school, and I would love to know all of those books that I read, but alas, I think that notebook got thrown out. I am still hopeful that one day it will resurface and I will know all of those books that I read. Besides that notebook that I had as a kid, though, I did not track any of my reading at all until I joined Goodreads in 2011, and I have been a dedicated user of Goodreads since then. I know it is a controversial website now because it is owned by Amazon, but I do not pay any money to use Goodreads. I don't click on their ads. I feel like the only thing they're getting out of me is my reading data and also the ad revenue for me using the website, but otherwise it's very passive income, and I'm not giving money directly to Amazon by using that website, so I've justified that to myself. I still love Goodreads. I think it's an amazing log of all of my reading over the years. This will be my 15th year using Goodreads, so absolutely love that website. I did keep a physical reading journal off and on for a few years, but I never really kept up with it. I think I had too much pressure on myself to write down a lot of information about all of the books that I read. but now I do keep track in my planner when I am keeping up to date with my planner. Whenever I finish a book, I will mark it in there. But I'm not always good about that either. But we're still in January, so I still have kept up with my planner for this year, and I am very, very hopeful that I will keep up with it for the rest of the year as well. I also wanted to give a shout out to Nicole from the Girly Girl Bookworm. She has come back to YouTube, and I would love it if you would watch her videos because I have always loved them. She has great book recommendations. I feel like she and I have some overlapping book taste, but then she also reads a lot of fantasy and romance that I don't necessarily read, but I have had some amazing book recommendations from her in the past, so I will leave a link to her channel below. Please go subscribe to her. I am really excited that she is back on YouTube because even though I do follow her on Instagram, I'm not always on my Bookstagram account, so I'm excited to follow her reading again here on YouTube. Oh, I was going to show you my cross stitch. I had mentioned it a couple weeks ago that I started cross stitch because I'm trying to create more, scroll less, and I finished it the other day. So let me get it and I will show it to you. So here is my cross stitch. This is a vintage Jiffy stitchery kit that I bought on eBay. I got 3 different seed packet designs, and this is the first one I did. It's carrot seeds. It's definitely not perfect, but I learned how to cross stitch all on my own just from reading the instructions that came with the kit, and I even did the lettering there. I'm really excited about it. Here's the back. Looks wild. But yeah, I learned a lot through doing this. This took so many hours worth of work, but I think it was well worth it. I'm excited to find a vintage frame for this, maybe at the thrift store, and then once I complete all 3 of my kits, I can have a nice little setup of different seeds. So that is very exciting. So I told you what I'm currently reading, shouted out to my favorite booktubers, I showed you my cross stitch, and that's going to be it for this Friday Reads. I did go to the library this week and get a bunch of books for my February TBR, so if you want to know what those books will be, make sure you're subscribed to my channel because I have a video coming out this coming Tuesday with my February TBR, and you will see all of my new picks for the month coming up. I hope you're having a great week and doing well, staying healthy and safe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!